Hi everybody, it's Queen Jelly here and welcome back to my toy box. This is a doll and toy themed YouTube channel. I try to post at least once a week, maybe twice, just kind of depending on the dolls I have available and the time I have to film that week. Anyway, today is going to be a double feature of some Star Wars dolls that I have. I got both of these fairly recently, but one of them I was semi-aware of its existence and the other one I had no idea it existed at all. So for the first doll, it's actually going to be this Padme here. So this is part of a recent line of dolls. It's been slowly releasing for the past 2 years, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not 100% sure on that timeline, because I did, from what I'm aware, buy the very first doll, which was an Ahsoka, which actually she has a video on my channel. But then I also have 2 other dolls that I've got on clearance, and then I also got this Padme on clearance. The reason I say that she's part of that series is because she's the same like scale as them, so I do believe that she's part of that series. However, those are typically about $50 and they're a limited release. This was originally $130 and is considered a limited edition, but I do believe that she's a limited edition from that same collection because, again, same scaling, same like body type and everything like that. Obviously we won't be able to tell 100% until we get her out and look at her articulation, but I have they're so similar in like aesthetics that I have a feeling like that was what they were going for here. For my special edition dolls like this, the ones that go to the Disney store, I do not have a Disney store near me. However, I do have access to Disney World, particularly like Disney Springs, and they do tend to get a lot of the limited edition dolls there. So that's typically where I go to get mine so that I can pick them out and not have to worry about like anything like that. I never actually saw this doll in person though until I found her on clearance at one of their discount stores that are connected to like, they're not in the parks, but they sell like the park stuff, and that's where I got her. So I'm not sure what the deal is with her release, like why I never saw her in the parks. It's possible that I just missed her, but what seems more likely is that they just never went to shelves, because like I'm there like all the time. But again, it is 100% possible that I missed her. If you guys know anything about it, please let me know in the comments down below. But I just thought that I wasn't going to end up getting her because I didn't get her off of Shop Disney, because I tend to not go on there because if I start looking, I end up buying way too much. So I just kind of avoid Shop Disney as much as possible. So since I didn't get her on there, I didn't think I was going to be able to get her. Again, I never noticed her in the parks, but then I found her for $74.99. which is still a lot, but definitely a lot better than the $129 that she originally was. When I first saw her, I did unfortunately have to pass, because I actually had, it was the weekend before MegaCon, which if you guys watch my other videos, I did go to, but I wanted to make sure I had money for the convention, and I was like, well, if she's still there afterwards, then I'll get her. And then like a couple weeks afterwards, there was still one there, so I did end up picking up this Padme. There was only like 3 there though, so I can't tell you that there's still going to be more. But then the other day I was at Goodwill again, and we were looking at the the jewelry counter and whatever, and the person that I was with was like, that box has porgs on it, and I was like, I want to see that. So we had the person that was working there at the counter pull it down for us so that we could see it, and box did indeed have porgs on it, and pretty much only porgs on it, until I noticed that it said Star Wars Forces of Destiny. Do you know what Forces of Destiny is? Because I certainly knew what Forces of Destiny was. However, I had no clue what this doll was. So, Forces of Destiny was a doll collection that they did quite a few years ago at this point, that was for Star Wars dolls. Mostly female characters, just kind of like to, encourage girls to kind of get into the fandom and show that it was okay to like Star Wars and be a girl. Of course, I'm sure that there are boys that also played with Forces of Destiny, but that was literally the theme of the line. It was girl power. It was, again, mostly female characters. The stories were about the female characters taking charge. Like, that was the point of this collection. But again, it just says Star Wars Force of Destiny and has porgs on it, but literally says nothing else.
So yes, I can see right on the front of the box, it says Chewbacca and porgs inside. I'm not sure why I said it exactly like that. I think what I meant was that there was no information about the dolls itself, but it does say Chewbacca and porgs on the front, as well as saying Forces of Destiny.
Although it does say up here in this corner about battery information, which we will talk about in a minute. But that's part of why this is getting opened, because there are batteries still in here and I want to get them out. Because hopefully, I'm hoping they haven't ruined these dolls. Because, as you can see, this is sealed in the box. And I paid $24.99 for it at Goodwill. This set was originally $50 and it was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive from 2018. Did not know that this doll existed. I just found it on the shelf at Goodwill, and now I am owner of a 2018 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive doll, and I'm so excited to get it open. So what this is it's a Chewbacca with little tiny baby porgs, and they're standing in the Falcon. It's the picture I've seen of it, like I try not to look super deep into them, but it looks so cute. So apparently there was a standalone Chewbacca that had been released recently, and this was right at like the death of the line. It didn't last for very long, and right when they kind of decided that they were done with it, so a lot of people didn't think that this set was actually even going to come out, because I did quite a bit of research trying to figure out like what this doll was. But yeah, a lot of people didn't even think it was actually going to come out. Some other people were upset because they just bought the standalone Chewbacca and then this came out. But this Chewbacca actually makes noise, and I think that was kind of supposed to be like a little bit of the more uniqueness about it. So this Chewbacca has, like I said, the batteries in it, and then it comes with the porgs. So yeah, I could see being upset if you had just bought the standalone Chewbacca. But those dolls, I want to say, were like $25 dolls, and then this was a $50 set. But yeah, this was kind of like the last dying breaths of this series. So yeah, I don't have a lot from these because I wasn't collecting at the time, but I do have a few of them, just because like I was a Star Wars fan at the time, but it also just wasn't a good time for me like buying toys and stuff. So I wish that I had more of them, but I do have a few, but I'm very excited to get this added to those few. So I think that's about it. Of course, I'm going to hop up onto the desk in just a moment, but I did forget to mention, if you are interested in any particular part of this unboxing, such as Chewbacca, or maybe you're just looking for Padme, or you just want the final thoughts overall, don't be afraid to skip around. There should be sections down below. They're tagged for the different portions of the video, so please don't be afraid to use those if you want to. But of course, I would love if you stuck around with me for the whole thing. With that being said, though, I am going to start moving up to the desk. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, as always, doing those things really helps out the channel. It sends the video out to more people, but it also helps you, because if you enjoy my content, it's the easiest way to be able to find me again. So thank you so much, and we are going to get moving. Hey everybody, just want to jump in here one more time before I go to the actual unboxing part. As you can see from this screenshot, I did actually back a new Kickstarter. It is called Back to Begoths, and I just wanted to point it out because they still do need a little bit more backers to get funded, and I'm really excited about this project. If you are interested in it, the link will be in the description down below, and I will talk a little bit more about it at the end of the video. Alright, so we're up here on the desk, and I do have both dolls in front of me. But I do want to go ahead and start with Chewbacca. I'm very excited about that one because, as I was saying before, I've done a lot of research about the release of this doll, but I haven't seen it in person or really looked too closely at the photos of it. So I'm very excited to actually get a peek at it, as well as, like I said, I want to get it open and check on those batteries, hopefully get them out of there. Unfortunately, I don't have a screwdriver on me right now, so I will have to do that at a separate point, but that is what I want to focus on right now. Again, I want to just give a nice quick close-up of the box. It does have up here where it says 3 alkaline batteries required. Demo batteries are included. And we have a porg right here on the front, as looks like it's kind of like ripping through the packaging, with the Falcon here in the background behind it. It says Forces of Destiny, Chewbacca, and Porgs, and then is a Disney Hasbro product. Again, this was at the time when Hasbro had the Disney license as opposed to Mattel.
In the back, we have some more porgs. We have one hanging down, one kind of over here, and then we have the porglets in the nest. And again, that same image of the falcon behind it. And over here in the corner, it says Star Wars Forces of Destiny, and then has the website, as well as, and again, Disney and Hasbro in this corner. The top is just open where it's going to slide out. And then the same thing on the bottom, as well as a barcode. And then on this side, we have the wing from the porg and some kind of details that just kind of look like a crate from the Star Wars series. And on the side, it's just kind of the crate side. And a little bit of regular, like, disclaimer information. All right. I'm, like, really nervous about this because, I mean, I know I open some older dolls sometimes, but, like, I just feel like, I don't know. I've never opened such an old, like, Comic-Con doll before, especially one that, like, I feel like is kind of, feels like it's probably kind of rare, again, because I've, like, never heard of it, so. But anyway, I'm going to stop yapping, and I'm going to go ahead and move into unboxing. All right, so first of all, we have a pamphlet here. It says Chewbacca and Porgs. And then if we open it up, it is information about the batteries for the Chewbacca. I think they've gotten away from putting batteries into things, but especially something like this that's essentially meant to be a collectible that could very well and very likely stay in the box. It's not a mass-produced thing that's on the shelf that's meant for kids to, like, rip in immediately to. It's kind of a weird choice to put batteries in, to be honest. But whoa, they still work. Holy cow. Okay, that means someone kept this thing in a good place and kept it safe. And then it just got donated to Goodwill. Like, that just, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that it did because now I have it. And I probably would not have had it otherwise because I wouldn't have known to look for it. But, like, at the same time, it just always baffles me some of the stuff that I found a Western winking Barbie at Goodwill. And I'm like, those are one of those dolls that I hear about, but never thought I would actually see with my own two eyes. And I found it at a Goodwill. So the stuff that people donate is just crazy to me. But anyway, we have our inner box, which would normally be what would be the display box. We have Chewbacca here in the center, and again, they're standing in the cockpit of the Falcon, and then we have some little tiny porgs all around. My partner is very excited about the porgs because they said that I could give them to Frankie because I absolutely love porgs, and Frankie is my mini me in the dollverse. So I just thought that was cute, that was like their immediate reaction. And then here is the back. It says Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Chewbacca, and Porgs. Journeying to the sacred island of Ahch-To to help Rey find the exiled Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. Chewbacca meets the Porgs, a hyper-curious species of avians found throughout the secluded islands. While Rey is busy trying to master the forces with Luke's guidance, and adorable avians win over the unusually fierce Chewbacca. And when it's time to leave the planet and join the Resistance, the Porgs join the heroes aboard the Millennium Falcon, beginning an epic adventure that will take them far from home. So cute! And then again, we have this kind of like animated version of Chewbacca and some Porgs, and then it says Disney and Hasbro over here on the side. This did come from the series Forces of Destiny, which was kind of a semi-animated series that was like companion to the actual Star Wars movies. And again, contained like main like canon characters, and just kind of like a different like part of the stories, I guess you could say. Like it was definitely like additional material. From what I understand, obviously like I didn't watch it, but I've definitely seen like clips and parts of it, especially being, you know, deeply involved in the fandoms. Of all the details though of the way that they made this look like the cockpit, like they even like ingrained this here on the side. You can see that like it's kind of like raised here so that it literally looks like how the cockpit would. I think that's such amazing details. Again, I kind of wish that this series had gone on a little bit longer. We do have, again, kind of a more modern adult collectible aimed version of this, which is that other doll. Honestly, really, this Force of Destiny kind of led into what we have now for this like heroine collection, if you want to call it that, because I haven't seen any mask
characters. It's only been femme characters in this limited edition series. And I don't know if that's just them trying to like be like, oh, they're dolls, so they're for women, or if they're trying to really like, again, hone in on kind of that, like just that part of the demographic. But I digress. I think that's all that I have for now. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the box. I cannot wait to get my little hands on these, so very excited. Okay, so we have everybody out of the box now. A couple of things. One, I'm still so incredibly impressed with this backdrop. I think it's such a great choice. A lot of little details in there. I like the little like 3D pilot and co-pilot chairs. It is very dusty though, because you know it is a bit old. Also, in a loving way, I started laughing when I took Baka out because look how flat he is. Talk about a case of box hair. He is very flat on the back from being laid up against that plastic for so long. The other thing, because of them being in the package for so long, the porgs are actually flocked, which is super cute. I did not expect that. But they do have little lines across their tummies from where the plastic was, unfortunately. These are really adorable, but I feel like they intended for them to come out of the box. They weren't really thinking like long-term collection wise. I do actually, as you can see, have a Princess Leia. It says Platinum Edition. Again, I'm not super familiar with most of this, but this is a set that I've had since when they were actually being discontinued. So I've had it for a very long time, and it's been in box the whole time. So that's why I have it unboxed. I actually have a different Leia set that's also in box. But like that looks to me like it's packaged intentionally to stay in the box, whereas this one was a like a Comic-Con exclusive, which usually means it's meant for collectors, and didn't feel to me like it was designed to stay in the box. So I don't know, but that's just me. You are so chatty, my friend. Let me see. I am not seeing anywhere back here a way to turn him off, so I do apologize. The button is quite sensitive, so you will be hearing Chewbacca kind of go off a little bit while we're talking, but I do want to fluff up a little bit of this square head. He does have some gel here in the top part of his fur, which is fine because it helps keep it off of his face. But then the rest of it is nice and soft and fluffy. Again, it's just very, very flat from being in the box for 6, almost 7 years, since I'm not exactly sure what like month they were released in, but he's been in that box for a while, so it's understandable. It's going to be a little square. He does have a body underneath all of this fur, but it is fur head to toe, except for the faceplate, the hands, and the feet. He does have some head articulation, so it can turn full 360. His arms go up and to the side, and I can feel a jointing in his elbow. Okay, there we go. And his wrists also rotate, but do not appear to bend. Same articulation should be on the other side. He does have closed gripped hands for holding his blaster, which we'll look at in a moment. As you can see, he does have hip articulation, as well as I can feel that there is a knee articulation here. The knee is not as quite 90 degrees as the elbow was. And then the foot is not articulated. It is completely solid, but the knee does rotate, so you are still able to turn the foot in and out, but that rotation is coming from the knee joint rather than the ankle joint. So here is his faceplate. Again, he's going to be a little bit more stylized because they are based off of an animated series. So that's why he's not necessarily going to look exactly screen accurate for the movie series, but he is pretty accurate from what I can remember of the animated version. His mouth is slightly open, which is appropriate for him being so talkative. Here is a close-up look at the hands. Again, as I said, they are in a grip position, but they do have sculpted fur on them, and again, do rotate at the base of the wrist. Then for his feet, they again are the solid molded plastic with no articulation, but they are again fur sculpted into them. Let me move my hand so you can see the light better. And then there is the bottom of his foot. They are slightly molded to a foot shape. They're kind of flat, but they do have a slight bit of definition to them, which is nice. And then the toes are very defined. I think he's overall a really nice figure, a really nice articulated doll. But that's the Star Wars dolls typically are very articulated because they kind of bridge that line between like doll and action figure. Which is why they kind of, in my opinion, work really well. I just think a lot of the time that people get too caught up on branding of things, and that's probably why Forces of Destiny didn't do as well as it should have. It also was at a time right when episode like 7 or 8 had come out, and so like people were also not like super, there wasn't a lot of trust in the brand at the moment, you could say, and so it kind of muddied their release, in my opinion. I really, like I said, I'm surprised that they didn't do better because I know that there are a lot of girls in the Star Wars fandom, myself included. And again, I'm a doll collector. Like these little would have literally been perfect for me if it had been at a better time in my life for collecting. I know I would have had the whole line. So if they came out today, like I probably would have had the whole line, especially at the prices that they were. The only reason I don't have this full collection is because they are priced at more of an adult collectible level rather than a playline level. So I have to be a little bit more discerning about these ones because $50 for one doll is a lot different than $25 for one doll. So obviously, again, this originally was a $50 price point, but it is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so a $50 price point is to be expected, especially since it is a full playset, as opposed to, like, this is just a base doll, which I can't confirm that it was $25 originally, because, again, I didn't buy mine at the original price. It's also been a long time that I've had them, so I can't off the top of my head confirm, but my assumption is that it was probably somewhere in the $20 to $25 range for the original price for the base dolls. For accessories, we have our Chewbacca satchel bag. It is a solid molded plastic here, so it does not open, but it does have a separately molded flap, which is kind of nice, so it does still have a lot of definition to it. It is also molded to kind of hug his hips, and then of course the strap for the satchel that goes across his shoulders is very iconic, and they did mold in all of these individual cases. I honestly don't know exactly what is inside of them, but they are there. And then for his crossbow, it is also fairly accurate. It is a nice size for him. And it has a lot of small little details. It is a completely solid piece of plastic. It doesn't have like any projectiles or anything like that. Just one nice solid piece. Then for the porgs, we have our baby porg, which again are flocked just like the bigger porgs. We have two different sculpted face, a sleeping face and an eyes open face, and they are sculpted into this nest that, other than that little part at the bottom, is fully sculpted to look like it's made out of twigs. And as far as I can tell, they are not removable, and I'm not going to force them. Then we have 2 adult porgs. I believe it's intended to be a male and female porg, but I'm not 100% on that. I do know that porgs come in different color varieties, but my assumption is because one has the colored marker and one does not, that it is supposed to be a female and male porg. That would also make sense to make the family unit for the set. I believe this to be the female porg. They do have their arms spread backwards and up, but can be rotated down. Again, as I was saying, they are fully flocked except for their feet and eyes. They are a solid plastic, and the feet do turn in and out, which is really nice extra detail, and are super flat at the bottom so that they can stand on their own, or I thought they could. It could be because I put her arms down, so she's not as balanced now. There we go. She just needed a little bit more balance in her life, which I can understand. And then here is the other one, which again is slightly larger and has these colored markings on the tufts on the side of their head, as well as here on the edges of their wings. And they are, again, rotatable at the wings and at the feet, which have little black toenails on them. Super cute. Very pleased with this set, honestly. Other than, like I said, it does feel like it was intended to be opened, especially with having a slip cover on it that completely covered the box. Like, without taking that plastic off, you couldn't even see the dolls. And maybe that's why they got rid of them, because maybe they're in-box collectors and they like to keep, you know, dolls in their box where they can see them. Where, like, this one here is like a nice like open display. You can see them in the box. I'm not worried about them getting damaged or anything in there. Whereas this one, like with the slip on, you couldn't see them at all. And then when you did take the slip off, there was a big open hole right into the box, which is how, even though it was sealed, it still has a little bit of dust inside and everything. So that's my guess, I guess I could say. But either way, again, as I was saying before, I'm very happy that they did. I'm very happy that I was able to get this doll. Again, $25 is a really good price point for this. It was originally $50, and that looks like, when I was looking up online, roughly what they cost now if you wanted to buy one secondhand. So thankfully that is a nice thing that they didn't go up too much in price if you are looking for them secondhand. Again, that's part of why I'm also like comfortable with opening them. I did have that moment of hesitation just because it's like a momentous occasion in my opinion, as opposed to like because I don't think that toys should be open. It's just kind of crazy to think about something being there for so long. Yeah, it is kind of funny. But yeah, as you guys know, if you are frequently on my channel, I collect for the love of dolls and not for the profit of dolls or their, you know, potential value in the future. And there is the bowcaster in his hand. And I'm just going to double check, but he should also be able to stand on his own. That's kind of one of the things that was, that I noticed is kind of part of the features of this series. Again, because they kind of borderline like action figures, and a lot of action figures can stand on their own and don't need stands. So they are pretty flexible with like their posing and stuff, so that way they can stand on their own. So yay! Thank you so much for watching me unbox Chewbacca and rambling about him for a bit. We are going to go ahead and move on to Padme now. So again, if you are only interested in Chewbacca, thank you for watching this far. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. And if you are also interested in Padme, then stick around and we'll get to that just a second. All right, and now we're going to move on to the Queen Amidala doll, or Padme as I like to call her. For the top of the box, we have this red design up here with some gold accents and the red stone. And the same is copied down here. And this is episode 1, Phantom Menace, Queen Amidala limited edition, 1 of 3,100, which I feel like that's been what most of the Ellie dolls that I've gotten lately, that's been their size. Which I felt like they used to do sizes kind of dependent on the series, but I feel like lately that's been the size for the productions. And then here is the back. It's a Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace.
Padme Amidala was a courageous, hopeful leader who served as Queen of Naboo. As Queen, her throne room gown was the most impressive attire worn while hosting visiting dignitaries at Theed Royal Palace. Extravagant gown had a sea and jewels that illuminated from within, as well as an elaborate headdress. Her traditional royal makeup included a white base, red dots on both cheeks, and a red stripe painted on her lower lip to represent the suffering endured by Naboo people before the great time of peace. Then for the top of her box, there is a window to see in, again with those jewels on it. And then here is the barcode on the back. Again, the original price and the price that it was at the discount store. And then there is the bottom of the box. And now this is, as you can see, based on just kind of what's around it. Like I said, it's the same height as like these kind of dolls, which are regular, more like Barbie height dolls. But they do have the same kind of box style as like my larger like 18-inch dolls, where they have the couple layers. So we have this first layer, which is the cardboard. We have the under layer, which is this protective plastic. And these dolls are pretty easy to unbox and rebox. And then we have this layer here, which has the doll on it. And the certificate in there as well. I have 3,026 out of 3,100, which is actually a pretty close to the end of the production line number. It's actually kind of fun. It's within the last 100, so I don't think I've ever had one that's that close to the beginning or end. I usually have like very just middle of the pack numbers. But it does make sense, seeing as, like I said, this was kind of the last remnants of these dolls. It says this limited edition doll released in 2024 has been thoroughly designed and crafted by Lucasfilm artists to ensure every detail is realized with the integrity and authenticity. So that's cool. So I have Padme out of her box, but really quick, I do also want to, since I pointed at her anyway, I just wanted to, I know that my Tiana doll just kind of showed up one day out of nowhere, but it's because when I got her, I was super excited and just opened her on my own, but I still have her box, and so I can still show you like all of her details and stuff. If anyone would be interested in a video about her, please just let me know in the comments down below, and I'd be more than happy to do a video on her or add her to another video. Anyway, so for Padme, we have the stand here, which unfortunately is a saddle stand. I've been having a lot of issues with my saddle stands breaking lately, on top of them just not being as secure, but I also understand whenever they have a like kind of elaborate dress, they tend to do a saddle stand like this. I think all of my 18-inch dolls are saddle stands, which again, these are basic. This is basically like packaged and priced as if it was an 18-inch doll, but it's the same scale as these ones instead. So for Padme's headpiece, she has a big gold chunk here. It covers up around all the way around her ears, down her face, and then up over the top of her head. To me, it looks very accurate.
It is mostly gold with some red accents on it. Obviously, it's just painted. It's not plated or like anything like that, but it is intended to look like gold. And then there is this stud right here in the center, which is that jewel that you're talking about. And then she has this nice big headpiece behind it with all of her hair. So this is tightly woven in, and then we have some loose strands here that are also rubber banded in several places. So you can see, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 rubber bands to each of the hair pieces. And there are quite a few of those back here. So she does have quite a bit of hair, but it is all held tightly into her hairdo. Then we have her dress, which is velcroed. It does appear to all be one piece, the shoulder piece and the dress, which is about what I expected. It does go all the way up to her neck. It is high collared with this V collar right here. It is lined with fur, obviously like mock fur, but it goes all the way around, and again has this V on the back, which I do appreciate that it goes all the way around. And then she has this big piece down here down the center with the gold embroidery. All of these pieces are sewn to each other, so they're not like loose and flopping around, but it is still several layers. So we have this top piece here is a separate layer than this piece that goes all the way down. So for her sleeves, it is divided into 3 separate pieces. They all connect up at the top, so it is still one solid like dress, but we have a undersleeve that's solid red, a slightly tighter sleeve that's red with fur around the edge, and then a longer bell sleeve with fur that goes all the way down to the bottom and then is held tight in the shape. And they even put some stitching in around it to kind of give it some more like of an embroidery feel all the way around the back and all the way up and down the dress. And then down here at the bottom we have some large jewels. Again, fairly accurate to the movie. Unfortunately, I'm sorry that I don't really have too much to say because it's not like anything that's like super unique. It's just very, very pretty and again, very accurate. I really like this design and this dress for Padme, so I really appreciate it. But again, it is just red and a lot of very fine detail as opposed to like any like big like exaggerated parts. But the bottom is a flare out. As you can see, it does that on its own. It does have a couple of layers underneath it to keep it into that shape. For her shoes, they're these little black boots with a wedge heel, but otherwise they don't really have any other detail, which is fine considering as you cannot see them under the dress. And then the last thing I want to show you is a close-up look at her face. I think they did a really good job sculpting her. I think she looks just like she should. I'm not sure how I feel about the like upward glance where it looks like she's looking up, but I do think that's part of like, she probably has like some white in her waterline that kind of exaggerates that. And then of course, like you're talking or reading on the back, it has the red dots and then the red lip, the way that is very iconic for her. My only thing that I'm noticing that I'm not super thrilled about is that her head feels like it's like really loose on her body. But I'm curious, like I said, I'm pretty sure that the articulation is going to be the same as like these ones, but I'm curious as to if that's true. Just so that there's no surprises, I did take her dress off before I show you. I just wanted to point that out. So unfortunately, there is a little bit of staining on her arms, but that is kind of to be expected with anything that is such strongly colored. I'm just kind of surprised that they didn't put any sort of protective layer underneath it, but you can see it kind of all up her arm, which again, like for something that I don't plan on redressing, it's not that big of a deal, but it is just something to point out that is something that happens. Now, I was looking at her articulation versus her articulation, and they do seem to be very similar. But however, Padme does actually have an additional joint. She has this rib joint that Ahsoka does not have. Again, Ahsoka was like one of, if not the first dolls in this collection. So they could have evolved since then, since the other ones I have not unboxed. But I do believe that she just has this extra joint because of her being the limited edition. Unfortunately, it's not like super well like lined up. Like it kind of feels very clunky. and not like the best joint ever, but there is that additional joint there for this one. And then I remember that Ahsoka's hand came off pretty easily. If you look in here, it does seem to be the same kind of jointing, but they cast the hands better, so they're not popping off. They kind of cover up that that disjointed seam there. Let's just go over the articulation points. So we have head, which again I said is kind of loose. Then that could just be my experience. I'm not necessarily sure that that's this doll all the time, or if it's just mine. And then she has the bust joint, upper shoulder joint, upper arm joint, elbow, wrist that rotates but does not appear to come off, twist and turn waist, hip that goes pretty decently out to the side, and knee, and then a little bit of ankle articulation up and down. But I'm not really feeling any side to side. But her shoe is also like attached to her foot. Like there's no foot in there. It is just the shoe, and it does not come off, unlike what Ahsoka's does. Which again, I don't know if that's an improved joint that they improved since the first release, or if that's just an improved joint that they did for this more expensive doll. So I have her redressed, and one thing that I tend to always miss when I'm doing my reviews, but also it's pretty subtle, she does actually have white nail polish on, so her nails are actually painted. But here she is trying to stand on her stand, which of course she has a heck of a time with, because they always do, because they make the sticks longer than the legs of the doll, so then they end up floating instead of just standing, because like, if she could just stand on her own 2 feet, she'd honestly do better than on this stand that is longer than her legs. And I will never understand the like compulsion to do that. Because you can see right now when she's just standing, her feet are floating in the air. So yeah, that's my opinion on saddle stands. I understand why they do them for the aesthetic purposes of not having the waist clip on the back, but I will never understand why they never just make them the right length for the dolls so that they always have to float. I understand when the intention is for them to float, like with like Spectres. That's like an intentional design choice, and that's fine. But like this is not an intentional design choice. It's just not actually paying attention to the design of your doll when creating the stand. And like, the same thing happens even with, like, my bigger dolls, too. So, like, you can't tell me that they don't know the size of their dolls. Like, it's just weird. But anyway, before I go into final thoughts, I just want to talk about one last thing. As I said earlier in the video, the link will be in the description down below, but I do want to make sure that it is very clear that I am not affiliated with, I do not make money off of, nor am I getting any product from this company that I am about to talk about. I am just a backer, and I really would like to actually be able to get the products that I have requested. So I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know about it as well, so that way you can back it. So if you are interested, you can help back the project and make it a reality for all of us that have already backed it. As of filming this video, we were already 70% of the way to the crowdfunding goal in order for them to actually produce these dolls. The Kickstarter that I'm talking about, there should be, like I said, the link in the description, but also a photo on screen now of the Begoths dolls, which are actually alternative characters that are actually goth. They are an older doll line that I actually had heard of in passing, but didn't really have any actual information on. And I don't own any currently or anything like that, but they are a doll that I was kind of like vaguely aware of. And then I saw a post that they were going to be doing a Kickstarter, and they have several different options for the Kickstarter, including the green and black Kickstarter exclusive doll and a orange and purple variant of the same character that, if this does get crowdfunded, is going to be part of Series 1. So essentially you can pre-order her this way, or you can get the exclusive one that will not be in stores once the Kickstarter once the product line actually launches. However, before they'll launch the product line, they need to make sure that there's enough interest in it, hence the Kickstarter. One of the available options was to get your name on the box if you bought a specific limited edition bundle. I am actually backer number 19 on this project. That's how excited I was. I was literally on my phone the moment that the drop happened. And I purchased the kit that is going to include my name on the box. So if you like my channel and you'd like to have, I'm hoping to put my moniker on there. If I do put my moniker on there when I get the dolls, I will show you where it is. If I put my actual name, obviously I'm not going to point out which one is mine, but just know that my name will be on the box, because I did purchase that tier. Because that's how like invested I am in these dolls, and I'm super excited about them. I actually ordered 3 dolls, as well as some doll stands and some extra accessories. So like I'm backing this project as much as I can, but that's why it takes other people to back it as well. So I really hope that you will join me in getting the Begoths back on the shelves. So as I said, link in the description, not affiliate, just someone who would really like to have those dolls. And that means that I need to share it with all of y'all so that we can actually get the dolls. Okay, so now I'm going to go into final thoughts on Chewbacca and Padme. Funny enough, they're actually, and Chewbacca probably should be a little bit bigger than her, but they're not too bad for scale. As I was saying before, Chewbacca is from the Forces of Destiny line, which is kind of a cross between an action figure and a doll. Like, they all had, like, different, like, things. So, like, she has this, like, twist action when you squish her legs. I know it's kind of hard to see because she still has a little bit of packaging on her. But, like, they all had these kind of, like, gimmicks to them, or, like, and they had, like, more, like, plasticky clothes. So they were a little bit more like an action figure, but they still had, like, the soft goods on top and, like, the rooted hair and stuff to kind of, and then the characters were all, like, very feminine to kind of make it more of, like, a fashion doll line. So they were kind of this, like, attempt at a crossbreed. Which, like I said, didn't last very long, and apparently one of the last dolls to come out for this line was this Chewbacca for the San Diego Comic-Con. I personally really like him. I think he's really nice and soft. He has a lot of really good details. The faceplate is nice and clean. I love the little porgs that he comes with. Unfortunately, again, with mine being so old, they do have the lines in the flocking, so I feel like they didn't do a very good job with packaging, but the actual, like, production and, like, design of the dolls, and even the box besides the, like, this issue, I think are really nice. I'm very happy with Chewbacca, and again, cannot believe that I just found him at a Goodwill for $25. Like, mind blown. And then for Padme here, she is, like I said, part of this collection, which is a special edition line that, as far as I know, has no specific name to it, but they've been slowly releasing these characters over time, that are also kind of a hybrid between a fashion doll and an action figure, but are kind of aimed at a more adult demographic, a little bit more intended as collectibles. They are highly jointed and then dressed in soft goods with accessories. Most of the dolls in this collection are roughly $50, but this one being an actual limited edition and having a number size was $120. I did purchase mine for $75, and I think $75 is a much better price for her, again, considering as the base ones are normally $50. I think $120 is a lot, considering as, again, I can get an 18-inch doll like Tiana or like my Haunted Mansion dolls for the same price as I could have gotten this Padme. Money aside, though, I do think that she's a really, really good doll. Obviously, being a huge Star Wars fan and Padme being one of my favorite characters, like, I really appreciate, and I'm so glad that I have this doll. I had seen like her in other people's collections, and I just kind of resigned myself to the fact that I probably wasn't going to have her because, again, I'd never seen her in person, and I'm very particular when it comes to my Disney dolls. I only buy them in person, and so, like, I just honestly kind of had given up on being able to get her, so the kind of surprise finding her was a lot of fun as well. So she was also kind of a surprise to me, and I personally, like, I'm fine with the $75. Like, obviously, I'm never gonna, like, if I have to pay less for a doll, I'm never gonna say no. Like, obviously, like, no one wants to pay exorbitant amounts of money for a doll, but considering the line that she comes from, the fact that she's Star Wars and Disney, the fact that she's very highly detailed, I think $75 should have been her base price, and I think it was a good investment into her. And I'm not saying that if you spent $120 on her that you were wrong, because what I always say is a doll is worth whatever it is worth to you. So, because I always see posts of people being like, oh, well, it's X amount on the secondhand market. Like, is that a good price? And it's like, is that a good price to you? Is that what you want to pay? Is that what that doll means to you? That many hours worked, or that much money, or however you want to quantify it? Like, whatever works for you is what works for you. And this is what worked for me. So again, happy to have both of them in my collection. I think they're both highly detailed, well-made dolls. Padme had the better packaging between the two as far as like longevity, but as far as like stylized, I think Chewbacca was a little bit better, because Padme's was kind of bland, but hers was also like very much inspired by like her dress and her palace, and like it gave what it needed to give. It didn't need to be exorbitant. Like, you wanted the focus to be on the doll, where Chewbacca is definitely more of like a play line, where you want the focus to be like on the imagination and the play that could happen with it. So very different intended graphics, but at the same time not, because I feel like, again, because I was just a little bit old for when Forces of Destiny came out, but at the same time, I still could be within the range to have started with Forces of Destiny and grown into this new heroine collection line. I like them both, and I'm happy with both of them. I think that's all that I have to say about these two for right now. If you have any questions about them, or have any thoughts on them, or just want to tell me which one between the two of these is your favorite, again, or if you are just found out about the Begoth Kickstarter and you decide to join because of me, also let me know any of those things down below. As I was saying earlier, if you want to know more about Tiana, let me know. All those fun things, anything you want to talk about, just leave it in the comments down below, and I will get to it as best as I can. One thing that always bothers me, that YouTube, if I respond to a comment, it doesn't necessarily notify me if you respond back to it. I do my best to go through that filter every once in a while, but just know if I responded the first time but not the second time, it's just because YouTube never told me that you responded. So I do apologize about that, but I do my best to get to as many comments as I can. So thank you again so much as always. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, it means a heck of a lot to the channel, and it also helps out a lot if you enjoyed the channel, because that means you can find us again much easier. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one. Bye. Stick around to see what doll we open next.